Oi, just how stacked are the Oklahoma Sooners for 2025 and beyond?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Happy Halloween and welcome to Locked On Sooners. Thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. I'm John Williams. This is Bane, a.k.a. Jay Smith, and we're going to go through your mailbag questions. We're going to stamp down that Bill Bedenbaugh distrust, the vibe. We're gonna kill some of the noise on Bill Bedenbaugh, and we're gonna talk about first Oklahoma's bright future on the defensive side of the ball. Brent Venables mentioned three guys in particular in his weekly press conference on Tuesday: Michael Boganowski, Jaden Hardy, and Reggie Powers III. Three safeties that he is really, really excited about for the future because of what they've been able to accomplish on special teams, as well as some limited opportunities on the defense. And I think everybody's excited about those guys, right, Jay?
Oh, absolutely. The best part about having them on the team is knowing that they're going to go out there and hit somebody. And they really do like to hit, especially, Boganowski. We talk about him, we call him Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, because he goes out there and just levels people as much as possible. And that's what we're going to get out of him. We're going to get that. We're going to get that from Reggie Powers III. And the beauty of it is that those three guys are really tight. So if there's one thing that we know Sooner fans have been missing over the last, 10 years, have been dudes that want to tackle and hit people. The best part is those three want to hit people. They want to tackle people. They want to inflict pain. Like Boganowski's dad, Big Mike, had posted a video on special teams of Mike of him just leveling some dude just running across the field. It's just so much fun to watch him play. I told y'all, when he starts actually playing, like starting on a regular basis, I expect personal fouls because I don't want him to take somebody out, but at the same time, I want him to send that message that don't come across here because I'm going to hit you.
Well, it's one of those things that you don't want to tamper down the physicality of a player. It's like having Robert Spears-Jennings times 3 and Robert Spears-Jennings in a bigger body that Michael Boganowski brings to the table. So it's really exciting. And I think we've all been really excited about their future, but Oklahoma's safety room already is really, really good with Billy Bowman and Robert Spears-Jennings and Peyton Bowen kind of leading the way. But man, there's potential for it to maybe be better even down the road. Is that crazy to think?
I know, right? It's kind of wild to even have that image because Billy Bowman's gone. You'll still have Peyton Bowen out there, and who's, as he's getting more and more healthy, he's able to really ball out. Robert Spears-Jennings, if he wants to return, he technically can. Yep. And then you'll have the young guys right behind him. So you can honestly play all of them in a good rotation. And that even gives you the ability to have depth, good swaps. And when Zach Alley wants to, you can run a 3-safety rotation. It's funny because I was talking to RP3's dad, and in practice, RP3 is running a little bit of cheetah as well. So he's kind of understudying Kendall Dolby. So imagine this. Not maybe in 25, but in 26, you'll have Jaden Hardy, you'll have Boganowski, and then you'll have Reggie Powers III as your cheetah. All of them playing at the same time. Again, they're all pretty tight. And so it's pretty cool to see. If they grow up together, oh my goodness. Brandon Hall's cooking with hot grease if he's able to make all of that work out long term.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that we've said about this defense and really about this team is that guys are kind of bought into the process. Nobody is getting out over their skis about, hey, I'm not getting enough snaps, so I'm gonna look to go somewhere else. It's the Jaden Gibson thing, right? Jaden Gibson probably could have gone any number of places after the 2023 season that he had and been a starter somewhere, but he came back. Not guaranteed anything with a deep wide receiver room and was still bought into the process. And I think the same is true for this safety group. Like, okay, they're true freshmen now, but you mentioned Peyton Bowen will be back. Robert Spears-Jennings could come back. I think he could be a top 100 pick in the NFL draft this next season if he wanted to be. But he could come back too. Again, a guy that's bought into the process of development. And so you're looking at having a really, really nice group of safeties, those 5 guys, if you want to include Kendall Dolby as a safety, linebacker, corner, hybrid, whatever, you've got 6 dudes that you feel really, really good about playing next year in 2025. But I think that the depth and the talent of this team extends even beyond that. I was thinking about this earlier today in my car, that coming next season, you're going to have R. Mason Thomas back. You're probably going to have Malton back. You might have Dominic Williams back. You're definitely going to have Jaden Jackson and David Stone. It's a stacked defensive line, and then you're only really losing off of your linebacker core, Danny Stutsman, out of your safety group, Billy Bowman, out of your corner group, Woody Washington, out and maybe Des Malone. I can't remember his eligibility.
I think he's probably close, but yeah, keep going. I'll look it up.
Defensive line, Ethan Downs, which it'll be sad to see Ethan Downs go. Dejon Terry, Caden Woolard, like that's it. Otherwise, the back is stacked.
Yeah, overall, you're going to get so Des Malone is a super senior, so unless he can redshirt, which I don't think he can right now, he is done. So, yeah, you'll be bringing Eli Bowen to get out there, of course. You'll play some of the younger corners like Makari Vickers, so Seatbelt to get some game. You're going to see more Jacoby Johnson. Both of them are banged up, but you'll get more of them. Depending on how Gentry heals, he may end up deciding to come back if he decides to continue playing football here or just in general. But you'll have him coming back, and then you'll have some of the young guys. Jeremiah Newcomb will be out there ready to play. You'll also get Malik Hawkins, who's coming in, as well as Cortland Guillory. So you'll have some young corners who are going to be itching to get on the field. So as long as they're able to play within the scheme while at the same time be able to handle themselves one-on-one, yeah, we've got a pretty good defense that's going to do nothing but continue to go up. I think the best part about the defense and why I'm excited about it next season, because unfortunately we've got to start talking about next year, is you get Kip, you got Kobe right there next to each other. You're still going to have Kanik, who's still growing in the game. You'll have him. He'll probably be his best his senior year. That's when he'll break out. So Kip, Kobe, Kanik, right? You'll still have McCullough, who's now healthy, and he looked like it against Ole Miss. He was making a little bit of an impact. You'll have him out there, and then you can start going back into the larger list of a Lewis Carter out there, the Sammy Omosigos of the world. And then, if Phil Pachotti's healthy, you'll have him as well. Then James Nesta, and then you go down with the more. But the good thing is you'll have the core guys, Kip, Kobe, Carter, as well as McCullough and Kanik. Your 5 guys you can rely on at linebacker, because this defense is so linebacker-centric. You're way ahead this year going into next season than you even were with this year having Stutsman come back.
Yeah, it's a defense that's been built. And I know there's a lot of questions about if Brent Venables is the right guy to be the head coach at Oklahoma. I'm not asking those questions yet, because he's done the thing that we expected him to do, which was revitalize the defense. The Oklahoma defense is good. Is it elite yet? Not yet, but it's on the way to being that. Just got to take a few steps and develop an offense that's average to above average for an entire season, so that you can actually compete in games and not solely rely upon your defense to go win it for you.
Exactly.
The future is very, very bright, and they continue to recruit at a really, really high level each and every year. And I expect that to extend into 2025 and to 2026. We're actually going to discuss a mailbag question on recruiting for 25 and 26. How much has this season affected or impacted what we're going to see on the recruiting trail for the Oklahoma Sooners moving forward? We'll discuss that among other things in our mailbag segment. But coming up next, we're going to talk about what Todd McShay and Ryan Russillo had to say about one Bill Bedenbaugh here on Locked On Sooners. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Right now, the Oklahoma Sooners are a 34.5-point favorite, welcoming Maine to town on Saturday, and the over-under is set at 45.5. Kind of liking that to go over. kind of crazy to think, but I think that Oklahoma can hit the over on that. And I'm pretty comfortable feeling like they're gonna cover this week as well. So you can go over to FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook, to place your bets. Again, you'll get $5 or place a $5 bet and win. You'll get $150 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all platforms, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, there's been a lot of talk about Bill Bedenbaugh and his security with the Oklahoma Sooners, and I get it. It's not been a banner year for the Oklahoma Sooners offensive line. It's been dinged up. The transfer portal additions haven't necessarily panned out exactly like you would have hoped through 8 games in the 2024 season. But let's be real. This is not a man going anywhere. Brent Venables gave him the vote of confidence in his Tuesday press conference, saying he's one of the best in the industry. And ESPN NFL draft analyst guru Todd McShay echoes those sentiments on the Ryan Russillo show earlier this week.
Yeah, I listen to Ryan Russillo religiously. He's one of my favorite personalities out there just because he makes me think about a lot of stuff. And he has Todd McShay on every Monday. And so on the Monday show, Todd McShay, they were talking about Oklahoma. Of course, they're like, yeah, Oklahoma right now is a joke. Not sure why the offensive line is as bad as it is. But Todd McShay interrupted and was like, I'll say this. Bill Bedenbaugh, their offensive line coach, he's regarded as the best developer of offensive linemen in NFL circles. Everyone praises Bill Bedenbaugh. And I know that everyone's like, oh, well, he's living off of his old Joe Moore award-winning line and all this. If you realize it, both of his left and right tackles have both been drafted 2 years in a row.
It's crazy.
And having left tackle or right tackle going in the draft in the first round in back-to-back years. That's not writing off 2017. And those dudes are starting. Anton Harrison's playing a lot. You saw a lot of Tyler Guyton playing for the Cowboys. They're young, they're still raw, and they're playing for teams that are kind of questionable, but that's not the point. The point is, he's getting dudes to the league. Andrew Rain is on the practice squad for the Panthers. He was actually on the depth chart until he got hurt. Now he's on the practice squad. McKay Mettauer, practice squad for the Chiefs. His guys end up in the league. So, for us, and they even said, that's what Todd McShay said, and actually Ryan Russillo says that, yeah, every time you look at Oklahoma, there's at least 2 dudes on that roster that's ready to go play in the league. The reason why we ain't got that now is because all of the upperclassmen that we have only been under Bill Bedenbaugh for 6 months.
Right.
So this is not your typical dude's been here for a few years. Sexton's been hurt, so he doesn't technically count. He's been hurt off and on the last 2 years, and now he's hurt again. Right? You've got Tarquin, first time here. Waywu, first time here. Hickman, first time here. I did a video on it earlier this week. We talked about it here on the show before. And John, that's the thing I don't get that people don't understand. All the upperclassmen that we had that were underneath Bedenbaugh, they transferred out. And I don't think they transferred out because they wanted to. I think it was a situation where we were like, we're going to go ahead and try and just run it with our younger guys. And unfortunately, we went through 8 different offensive line combinations now over 9 games because of injuries. No, we have not played the 9th game yet. That's this weekend. But we're going to have another new combination in that game. We got snake bitten, and it's all unfortunate. But don't sleep on Bill Bedenbaugh's capability of building an offensive line when he has guys that are actually flipping healthy. Believe me when I say, next season's line is going to look a lot different. The young guys, Fogier as well as Fasusi and Afalava, when they come in, they're going to push the other young guys we have, like B.J. Brooks, Isaiah Autry, as well as Akin Kumi. So you're going to see all those guys look a lot different. So, not to go too long on you, John, I just need people to understand and understand this.
Reach.
The dude knows what he's doing. The problem is he's got a lot of young guys that's trying to figure it out fast because some guys were not supposed to play this early. If you had Sexton and Taylor out there early like we were hoping for, because Taylor's still hurt, probably would have been a much different story this entire season. But unfortunately, as you're seeing, Troy Everett is doing very well at center. If we had him from jump, I think this entire season looks a little bit different because the quarterbacks would have a lot more time.
And there'd be a lot better communication throughout the season when you have a guy like Troy Everett with you from week one. Remember, he was dealing with an offseason injury that kept him out from pretty much all of fall camp.
He did.
He only really got back into the lineup in the last few weeks. And it's no coincidence that the Oklahoma run game has actually started to improve as Troy Everett's gotten back into the lineup and been better. It's easy to discount what's happened this year and just kind of want to throw Bill Beatonbow under the bus and say it's time for him to go. I totally can understand where people are coming from. But again, you want to take a whole body of work and you want to understand that people still have a lot of respect for him and for what he's able to do. I look at a guy like Wanye Morris, right? Didn't really play much at Tennessee, if at all. I can't even remember if he had. I'm sure he had some snaps, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't significant. Transfers over to Oklahoma, goes into the third round of the NFL draft to the Chiefs. Like that's a success story for Bill Beatonbow. Tyler Guyton, we've talked about that one ad nauseum. The dude was playing tight end just a couple years before he transferred to Oklahoma to play offensive tackle. And then he goes in the first round of the draft. Anton Harrison, a dude that played really early in his career with the Sooners back in the 2020 season, started a lot of games for him and just slowly by slowly kept getting better and better, and then ended up a first round NFL draft pick as well. So, man, listen, there are misses that are on his docket, no doubt about it. At the same time, there's a lot of big wins, and given the turnover that you had, I think it was easy to expect there not to be much of a drop off.
Right.
But maybe that was unreasonable. Probably that was unreasonable. And again, all the injuries that you dealt with definitely had an impact. Nobody's going to feel sorry for Oklahoma to have these excuses. Nobody's going to feel sorry for Oklahoma having all these injuries, but it's a reality. And no good team can turn over their entire offensive line, deal with injuries for both tackles, 2 to 3 centers, and a guard, and not be impacted. Much like the wide receiver room. You can't go 5 deep and not be impacted with all the injuries that they've had. So I'm still on Team Bill Beatonbow. I still believe that Oklahoma will develop. And, I mean, we've seen guys like Heath Ozida get better as he's gotten more and more playing time. Jake Taylor, when he's gotten out there and he's been able to play, he's been all right. You know, Jacob Sexton, same. Like, have they been elite players? No, but this is their first foray as starters along an offensive line in SEC play. It's a developmental game. You want them to be developed a little bit faster, but they're not quite there yet. But maybe they're better in 2025 if they can stay healthy. Now that's the big key, right? Got to find guys that can stay available for a 12, 14, hopefully 16, 17 game season.
Shout out to Fabi Wewu. He has had his 568 snaps. He has the most snaps on our offensive line. He has been nails. He's been consistent. And he's getting better and better week over week. And like Dave Eicher talked about, his technique, he looked better. He's looking better. And so, to that, when we played Tennessee, John, Lance Hurd didn't play in that game, right? So there was a little bit of a struggle on that left tackle side, right? Because he was hurt. Then their right tackle got hurt. What happened to Nico after that? We were getting to him a lot, weren't we?
Yeah.
That tells you every team has a drop-off. When you get to this, and Brent Venables said it. There's a reason why 1s are 1s, 2s are 2s, and 3s are 3s. Because sometimes those 2s and 3s still need to get their technique down. They're still not consistent enough play in and play out to be able to do things. So, yeah, we're over here defending Bill Beatonbow. We definitely are, because I think y'all don't get that there's a zero coach out there that has dealt with the injuries we've dealt with that would have been able to make chicken sandwiches out of this chicken poo. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. It's got to continue to get better. They've got to hit on this next recruiting class. And really, you got to, the guys that are in the 2023 class, the Logan Howlands, Heath Ozidas, they got to start developing and becoming a significant part of that offensive line next year. Same with your 2024 guys, EPL, Josh Isosa, Daniel Akinkumi, Eugene Brooks. They've got to be significant players on the depth chart next year and pushing for big snaps. And when you go into the portal, you got to hit on those guys. You can't afford to have dudes kind of working their way through the season. They've got to be ready to go from the jump for Oklahoma to have a chance to compete next year.
Unless you find someone that's like an instant starter, which rarely hit the portal.
Yep.
You gotta make sure that you built your stable up, which luckily we have now built our stable up.
Yeah, so you're going to have a lot of guys back. The only guys that probably won't be back, Michael Tarkin. Maybe
Tarkin and Hickman are your only two that are gone, guaranteed.
And Hickman's only played in 4 games, so there's a chance that maybe I think that's right. I'd have to look at it real quick, but I think he's only played in 4 games.
I think he has only played in 4 games,
and so
which is
he
crazy.
can technically redshirt for you coming into next year, and then you're looking at having some pretty solid center depth going into 2025. Again, it's good to have depth, and I think that's a guy with a lot of experience that can help you. If he can stay healthy, that's been a key.
That's the tough part.
Key element for Oklahoma's offense in total is just dudes staying healthy. Doesn't matter what position you're talking about, guys just got to be healthy. I'm looking at right now, according to Pro Football Focus, he's only played in 4 games, so technically he could redshirt this year if he's
a redshirt senior, so he can't technically redshirt, but he does have his COVID year if he wants to use it,
or he could medical redshirt.
Yeah, he can medical.
Eligibility rules in the NCAA don't matter anymore. Dudes are playing 8 years of college football, so who cares? So who wants to come back? Anybody want to come back? You're welcome to come back. So but it's got to get better. Offensive line has to get better. Bill Beden's not naive to that reality as well, and so they'll go into the 2025 offseason looking to improve the offensive line any which way that they can. Has Oklahoma done enough on offense to secure Joe John Finley's job? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebration, or an agonizing second overtime, which is why they've created the Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel, the energy shot made just for super fans like us, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. So, you know what else gives me a bit of Sooner fan fuel this week? The moments when we go out there against Maine and we actually have a competent offensive line. Or Taylor Tatum runs it 80 yards for a touchdown. Whatever it is, that's what brings me joy. So, 5 Hour Energy knows that no matter what your team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for big tailgates or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help you keep fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide.
If only Halloween were multiple days out of the year when we can get you coming back with the Bane mask on another episode.
You want to be invited to the dark.
This has been fast. Bane is my favorite character of the Dark Knight series. This is just an aside here.
Actually, he's my favorite as well.
Yeah, it's mine.
So I totally
agree on that. We might disagree on alternate uniforms and all blacks, but at least we can agree on Bane. So there's that. So got some good mailbag questions that came in this week. If you've got a question you'd like to have featured here on Locked On Sooners, drop it in YouTube, DM us on Twitter or X at Locked On Sooners. You can also email us, lockedonsooners@gmail.com as well, or you can hit us up on one of our personal accounts, Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams, and we will feature your mailbag question. So the first one comes from Lewis in the DFW. He says, has Joe John Finley shown enough to earn the offensive coordinator job, Jay?
Absolutely not. That job is open for the next man to come and take from him. We not giving nobody no jobs nowadays. Everybody's auditioning. People that are auditioning for the job are auditioning at their current jobs right now. Yeah. I will tell you this. I have heard from reliable people that a lot of people have inquired about this job. And the reason that they've inquired about this job is because Oklahoma is very good about springboarding offensive coordinators into head coaching jobs. So Jeff Lebby come here and have a top 10 offense 2 years in a row. What happened? He's at Mississippi State. Got an SEC job too. So we know that those that are going to come in, they understand that this job will get you somewhere else. That is what everybody's going to take advantage of. So expect us to make sure that this bad boy is open for everybody.
Yeah, I expect that they're going to do a big nationwide search. They're going to turn over every rock, look under every corner, and figure out where is going to be the best fit. And listen, there's reasons why good offensive coordinators would want to come to Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins, a plethora of wide receiver talent that will be healthy next year and probably coming back. One of the best offensive line developers in college football in Bill Bedenbaugh. And your Oklahoma, you're within a 3-hour drive of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It's going to give you a good recruiting boost. You've got a coaching staff that recruits the Southeast very, very well. Yes. Depending on who you retain on the offensive side of the ball, you recruit Texas very well. If you keep Emmett Jones around for DeMarco Murray, you recruit the West Coast very well if you keep him around. So there's reasons why. Think of a big-time offensive coordinator, whether it's Stein up at Oregon or Kotonecki at Penn State, or Craddock at Tulane, whoever you want to throw out there, Dan Mullen, the former Florida Gators and Mississippi State head coach. There's a lot of reasons why somebody might want to come to Oklahoma. And again, there's only one Oklahoma. Second question here, Jay. How much will this season affect Oklahoma's recruiting in 2025, 2026, and we can even go deeper to 2027?
I'm just going to say it's not. I mean, we've already seen tweets from recruits saying, I ain't worried about this. Ryan Fogier just tweeted out that this ain't scaring none of us. We're ready for this competition. We're ready to go out there and play. Same thing with Michael Fasusi. He said the same thing. Oh, no, we good. We good around here. And I think those players recognize that, no, coming into SEC is going to be a challenge, and they're ready to play in it. They're ready to see what it looks like. Plus, they understand the team is young. As they come in, the maturity is going to grow, and they'll be able to learn from each other and continue to push forward. Hell, they may have the opportunity to take somebody's job, and that's actually what gets recruits excited. You get telling me I got a chance to play as a young player in the SEC if I figure this out early? Shoot, yeah, sign me up. Because then they know that that's going to get them nothing but exposure. If there's anything to understand, if you are playing in the SEC, it don't matter if your team sucks or not. You're going to get looked at to go to the pros because you're able to compete in the SEC. Dude, I'm telling you, we've historically laughed at Ole Miss and Mississippi State, right? I was in Oxford watching the game. They showed the video reel of all the players that are in the NFL. They got a lot of dudes in the NFL right now. Yeah. And those teams weren't good that are NFL-wise. Patrick Willis has gone to the Hall of Fame, and he was there being honored. So you're seeing a bunch of dudes that you're like, man, I forgot they had these guys. Wait. Did y'all know that DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown was on the exact same roster at the exact same time at Ole Miss, and they went like 5-7?
Yeah, nuts.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely nuts.
Playing in the SEC gets you looked at for the league. That's all that matters. So most of these recruits are looking at that like, oh, I'll gladly go there.
Yeah. Yeah, the only concern would be teams like Texas, Alabama, Georgia, LSU coming in and swooping somebody out from underneath your nose. It made me so happy to see Ryan Fogier's tweet. That's been a dude that I have just absolutely been ecstatic about since he committed to Oklahoma. The guy just is one of those guys you can build an offensive line around. He can play left or right tackle. He can be a big time player for you for 3-4 years before going off to the NFL and being a big time offensive tackle at the NFL level. I don't think there's any concern. Yes, you're going to have some turnover on offense, but I think guys that are committed on the offensive side of the ball aren't strictly committed to a coordinator. Nope. I don't think they're strictly committed to a system. I think they're committed to Oklahoma. You know, they know that they know that they know that they know that they want to play for Brent Venables. And Brent Venables, it was very frank in his press conference, you know, that if guys aren't interested in being a part of Oklahoma because of some valleys that they're currently going through right now, he's happy to escort them and help them find somewhere else to go because or maybe not help him find him, but help him not be a part of Oklahoma because he wants dudes that are ready to go through the muck and the mire and come out on the other side of it even better than what they were before. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about it. Again, Kevin Sperry's still committed. Jaden O'Neal out of the 2026 class is still committed. You got your quarterbacks, especially given the roller coaster nature of the quarterback situation this year.
Yes.
You could see how a player might waffle a little bit on their commitment, seeing how the quarterback's been handled, developed, whatever. That hasn't happened, at least not publicly. And so I think that's a good sign for where Oklahoma's headed in the future. And I think there should not be any reason for concern moving forward. Oklahoma's going to recruit well.
Let me add to that, because I talked to Jaden O'Neal's dad in his camp, and they told me, they're like, no, we're committed. I mean, we understand the Seth situation, and we saw that coming. We're still committed to Oklahoma. We trust that Brent Venables is going to bring in a coordinator that's going to work great with the skill set that Jaden O'Neal has, And so they're sticking around, and they are good. They are locked in and everything. And he's a 26. So if your 26 quarterback is still locked in because they trust what the head coach is doing, I think I'm going to follow along. And so the only thing we need to do now is get a good offensive coordinator to leverage the talent of all four of those quarterbacks, from Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins, Kevin Sperry to Jaden O'Neal, and make sure that we can blow it out the water. So we got to do.
Yeah. And special thanks to Jake from Eastern Oklahoma for sending us that question as well about the recruiting. And yeah, I think it's going to be fine. Oklahoma's recruiting well. They're going to continue to recruit well under Brent Venables. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that notification bell and that subscribe button to let you know when new episodes drop. Go follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and is it Twitter? That's the one.
Go.
There you go. All the social media platforms, we are available. So again, send us your questions. We'll feature them here on the show as well. Have a happy Halloween, a safe Halloween, and enjoy those Reese's peanut butter cups, and send all the Smarties to your kids because they don't know any better anyway. That's going to do it. Until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.